What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We'll be continuing the how-to series with Tigra today. We're going to talk about how to effectively use Tigra on offense. I would cover Tigra defensively, but at the end of the day, the most threatening part about Tigra is dexing the special attacks, and as long as you're baiting her special one, you really don't have anything to worry about for Tigra on defense. Of course, special situations come and go, but for the most part, just bait the special one, and you'll be totally fine. Now, Tigra on offense. One thing to note about Tigra is she is a character that basically demands Sig 200. Now, for longer content and story content, you don't necessarily need the Sig 200, but for shorter form content, it is almost essential if you want to have an effective fight with Tigra to have her at or basically near Sig 200. I think the lowest you probably would be comfortable with is around Sig 160. I think you're still getting around 10 seconds for each of the senses at around that Sig level, but ideally Sig 200 is the way to go. So, Tigra is all about neutralize and rupture. Every basic and special attack hit Tigra inflicts on the opponent is going to apply this passive neutralize of 100% potency, which means the buffs on the opponent will be having their buff ability accuracy reduced by 100%, so preventing the buffs from triggering because of the neutralize ability accuracy. When buffs fail to trigger, Tigra will inflict a small little rupture physical damaging effect over 1 second, just a rupture debuff. These will become a lot more important later. Now, the heavy attack and the special attacks. These are the most critical things when using Tigra. When charging a heavy attack and 0.10 seconds after launching a heavy attack, all non-contact hits from special attacks have a 100% chance to miss. This is crucial. This is one of the most important factors of Tigra's entire kit, is the heavy attack miss and the heavy attack counter. If Tigra interrupts the opponent's attack or causes them to miss while charging this attack, each hit inflicts rupture, dealing 4,000 physical damage over 18 seconds. So essentially interrupting the opponent's attack with either a heavy intercept or just a heavy attack counter against the wall, or countering a special attack with your heavy attack is going to inflict ruptures on each hit. The heavy attack is 3 hits, and these ruptures will stack up and allow you to deal even more damage. So when throwing your special attack, this is another crucial part of Tigra's kit. If you are far away from the opponent, you're going to get this unblockable icon to trigger and glow purple. When it's glowing, you want to throw the special attack so you gain an unblockable buff for that next hit. When you land an unblockable strike, you inflict another rupture debuff, dealing the same amount of damage over 8 seconds. So it's the same damage, just in quicker duration. So, an important thing to note when fighting non-cosmic champions, this is specifically for non-cosmics, if she has a weakness, slow, or exhaustion debuff, she cannot prevent miss, and she cannot gain her unblockable effects. So just don't use her in a matchup where you're going to be getting any of these debuffs on you consistently. So that's not a huge deal for most champions and most defenders, but just bear in mind, don't take her against Ant-Man and beta special attack, because you're going to get the potential, what is it? Well, obviously just don't bait a special with Ant-Man because of the glancing. But exhaustion. I'm trying to think who has exhaustion. Sentry has exhaustion. Falcon Joaquin Torres inflicts slow when you throw a special attack. Don't hit I-bombs block because you get weakness. A lot of matchups where you're not going to want to use Tigra anyway, so just don't use her there. Okay, just keep that in mind. So, the special attack 1, this special attack is primarily going to be beneficial for longer matchups or to close out a shorter matchup. You're going to trigger and rotate between your two senses, your primal sense and your huntress sense. Whenever you inflict a rupture with your primal sense, you're going to deal a burst of 7,000 physical damage based on the number of damaging debuffs on the opponent. This damage is increased by 100% during special attacks. So keep in mind that says damaging debuffs, not just rupture. So in a situation where maybe you're inflicting more than one damaging debuff, that damage is going to go up even further. But for the most part, for 99% of matchups, that's just going to be the rupture debuffs dealing the damage. And when you have the primal sense, when you inflict rupture, which we talked about in many different ways, the heavy attack counter, the unblockable hit of the special attack, missing an attack and countering with your heavy attack, you're going to deal even more physical damage. And then with your huntress sense, whenever you miss an attack, you're going to grant yourself power, and also when you inflict ruptures, you're also going to grant yourself 10% of bar power. So if you're missing a special attack, with your heavy charge, you're going to get power for each hit that is missed, and then whenever you inflict rupture, you also gain power. Also, one thing to note about this, it can be helpful. It's not as impactful as the rest of our kit in terms of the miss and the reliability of the miss, but it's something to just keep in mind, and it's actually saved me a handful of times throughout the course of playing Tigra over like 5 or 6 years. 10% chance for all non-contact attacks from special attacks to miss. So obviously you're going to want to just heavy charge through the non-contact hits, but let's say you mess up a dex and you're trying to like dex out, this can potentially save you. Nothing huge, just a little extra safety net. Now, the special 2. Each hit has a 10% chance to inflict rupture, dealing 7,000 damage over 4 seconds. That's a lot of physical damage over 4 seconds. And each damaging debuff on the opponent increases the chance to inflict a rupture during this special attack by a flat 10%. So ideally, you've been heavy countering the opponent's heavy attacks or special attacks a lot, building up to your special 2. And by the time you get there, if you don't already have 10 ruptures, you'll have basically 10. You throw an unblockable special 2, and you're going to deal ruptures on every single hit of the special attack, dealing massive damage. Now, the Special 3. Special 3 is very nice for longer content, and I actually do recommend it if you're going to be using Tigra in like a longer fight, whatever that may look like. So you're going to re-trigger your Primal and Hunter Sense for 14 seconds. That's a long time, so very useful. And then you're also going to inflict a non-stacking indefinite rupture, dealing 4,000 physical damage every 0.5 seconds, so 800 physical damage every second. This rupture is removed and reapplied each time Tigra lands an unblockable strike. So think of this as like a guaranteed rupture for all of your special attack hits. Every single time you throw a special, you're going to have at least one rupture if you throw the special 3. So something to keep in mind. Now, enough dilly-dally. We've gone over the kit. That took 7 minutes to just talk about the kit. Now let's actually go into some content and show off why Tigra is so good. We're going to start off with the Cosmic map here. Obviously, Class Advantage is going to be your best friend with Tigra. I'm going to start with a bit of a basic matchup, a more basic matchup for Tigra. We're going to go fight Red Goblin, just to show off the miss from the heavy attack and show what that looks like. I'm going to go fight Red Goblin. So, I do not have Tigra on my team. Should probably add Tigra to the team. That's a good idea. So let's do that now. My bad. Let's go fight Red Goblin for real this time. So, like I said, this is just going to be a showcase of the miss and just the basic understanding of how to use Tigra effectively. Now, for Red Goblin, you can't really heavy counter him, but you can reliably counter his special 1 with your heavy charge. So, we're going to go in here and just bait special 1s from Red Goblin. That is the name of the game. We're going to build up our combo. And one thing to note, one thing that I forgot to mention as he throws the special attack here. When you have the neutralized passive on the opponent, your senses are paused. So ideally, you have that neutralized passive up for as long as possible before needing to refresh your senses. So, Red Goblin throws a special, I throw a heavy, I charge my heavy through his special, I am heavy countering him against the wall. I'm going to throw one more heavy attack here, right through that special 1, dash back to trigger the unblockable, and now Red Goblin is more or less dead. I'm going to let those ruptures finish him off, and there you go. One single special 2 takes out a short form content health pool in 27 seconds. Of course, that was a very basic defender. So let's see what that looks like for actually more challenging defenders, champions that you're actually going to want to use Tigra for. So like I said, now let's fight some champions that Tigra is going to be geared towards, the champions you're going to want to use Tigra for. One of those is Serpent. I'm not sure why I was tapping and it wasn't working there, but Serpent is a fantastic option. It's a fantastic matchup for Tigra. She can prevent the True Sense from triggering during Serpent special attacks from having that neutralized passive, and she also has a chance to prevent the death immunity at the end of the fight from triggering because of that neutralize. So hopefully in this matchup we do get lucky here and we can prevent the neutralize from triggering, the death immunity from triggering at the end of the fight. I'm going to throw a special 1 here just to conserve some power, because Serpent is going to give you quite a bit of power with that special 2 when you're missing it. So having a little more power to work with before actually needing to throw a special 2 would be nice. So now I throw a special 2 of my own. We get that Fear passive for some willpower, And now, ideally, Serpent throws another special 2 here with the neutralized passive active. I'm going to throw a special 1 just to make sure we push him down. There's the special 2 with the neutralize. Throw another heavy attack. Ideally, we just bait either a heavy or a full combo here from Serpent. Here's another heavy attack counter of my own, special 2, and like I said, ideally, we prevent the death immunity from triggering, and there you go, rank 4 Serpent with Tigra in a minute there. That could be a lot faster if Serpent was a lot more cooperative, but at the end of the day, that is a realistic representation of what Tigra can do against Serpent at the 7-star rank 4 level when you're on equal ground. So now let's go fight another champion that Tigra is pretty solid for, Dark Phoenix. Now, one thing to note about the Dark Phoenix matchup, I highly recommend running the Energy Resistance stat focus for Tigra. It's going to make her a lot nicer for this matchup, and while you're still going to take some guaranteed chip damage, it will be less overall chip damage if you have the Energy Resistance stat focus. So for Dark Phoenix, it's a very similar situation to Serpent. You just want to push her to Special 2 always and forever. Do not push her to Special 1. Do not bait Special 1. You only want to bait Special 2s with Dark Phoenix for the Tigra matchup, and you'll see why in just a second. Going to get that Nova Flame on me, and by the time we are down to the immortality for Dark Phoenix, she already has 1% health. She's already down to 1% health. So now, the name of the game is to bait another Special 2, heavy right through it, and there you go. There's the Dark Phoenix matchup with Tigra, 70% health remaining, and a pretty fast nuke. Now, obviously, you know, that's just one representation of that matchup, but that was 43 seconds for Dark Phoenix with some chip damage because it's going to be guaranteed in this matchup, but Tigra is still an effective option for Dark Phoenix. You're going to have between 70 and 75% health left depending on how lucky you are. With the Inequity Mastery, you should actually have a little more health because I have inequity, so never mind. So I have max inequity. So this is about what the health pool is going to look like with the Dark Phoenix matchup. Like I said, it is not the greatest matchup in the world, but it is an effective matchup for Tigra, and it's something that you should definitely consider learning how to do effectively because of how solid she is for it. Another great matchup for Tigra is Maestro. Maestro is a very nukey matchup for Tigra. You just want to heavy counter him as often as possible, get to that special 2, and by the time you get there, Maestro should be basically dead. So you want to start the matchup with actually just going for a straight heavy attack. Don't even worry about the heavy counter, just a straight heavy attack out the gate. Now, you want to heavy counter Maestro's heavy attack as often as possible. You want to get off at least 2 heavy counters here, so then when you throw your special 2, you have plenty of power. We're going to go for one more here, and now we throw a special 2, and Maestro is basically dead. I'm going to throw one more special 1 to close out the matchup, and there you go. That's a rank 4 Maestro with Tigra completely annihilated in 28 seconds. So that was 1 second slower than the Red Goblin matchup, which was just a testing match. And that's Maestro. So Tigra is exceptional for Maestro if you can get the heavy counters off and get to your special 2 before he gets that glancing buff. So just to keep the ball rolling, just to show you how consistent Tigra is, how good she is for so many matchups, let's go fight Gallon. Gallon is now a 7-star and definitely will be ranked up for defense purposes. If you don't have a direct counter to Gallon, Tigra is about as good of a direct counter as you can get without, like, you know, necessarily being the perfect Gallon counter. The neutralize is going to prevent the buffs from triggering during his special attacks, and that makes her one of the better Gallon counters in the game. The only thing you have to worry about is keeping that neutralize up during the specials. Same thing with Serpent. But with Gallon, it's very easy to just dash in during his special 1, go for 2 heavy counters in the corner, throw 1 special 2, and that's basically it for Gallon. I might have to do one more heavy counter of his special 1, and that's going to be it. This heavy counter should finish Gallon, and yeah, I mean, you want to talk about efficient and effective. There you go, 24 seconds for a rank 4 Gallon. Yeah, pretty solid. Pretty damn solid. Now, I'm trying to think of other matchups where I can show off Tigra and her versatility. I feel like that's more or less it. I could show her off against Karolina Dean because she is available, so I might as well do that to finish off the video here. But that's going to pretty much do it for this showcase of Tigra, how to effectively use Tigra. I really hope you found this video useful. I had made a Tigra guide in the past, like 5 years ago at this point, and while the information in that video is still 100% relevant, a lot of the defenders from the current day are not available to fight, obviously. But now they are. So, Karolina Dean, because she's new, it makes sense to, want to show her off with Tigra. Going to just heavy counter her heavy attack. Not in the sun like that. There we go. Now throw my special attack, and she is more or less dead. So ignoring my miscalculated heavy attack timing there, that was Karolina Dean in 28 seconds. Just ignore the fact that I got hit. No one saw that. No one saw that. But at the end of the day, Tigra is not a simple character. She is complex. She takes a lot of learning, a lot of understanding, mastery of spacing. She's a champion that if you take the time to learn, you take the time to actually put in the reps, learn the matchups, learn the spacing, she will be extremely, extremely effective. I have thought for a long time about making a video of the heavy counters for every matchup Tigra can take. So if that's something you're interested in, please let me know, and I will consider putting the time towards making that video. So for Annihilus, you actually want to use your medium attack to dash in during his special one. You'll see how I properly do it in a second here. There we go. You want to follow his medium dash. You want to follow the beam and like his back and forth movement. Hopefully I can show it off one more time before he dies here. You see how I followed him on the dashback? He sent his little beam, and then I followed him with the medium attack. That's how you use Tigra for Annihilus specifically. Just wanted to share that one more matchup because it's a pretty fun one. But, like I said, that's the Tigra guide, or the updated version of how to use Tigra. If you want to see more Tigra content, specifically the heavy and special counters for all available matchups Tigra can take, let me know. That would be a hell of an undertaking of a video, but I would be willing to do it. It would just take me a little while. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider hitting like and also subscribing to the channel. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.